put him on his back. Thurston, right foot kick, down the ground, into the in goal almost. Hodgson cuts it off. Hodgson taken by Norton. He took him late. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside. Richards pursued. He pushes Johnson away.
Good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, the 20th of January, 2026. You're back for another long-awaited episode of the Tiger Town podcast with your hosts, Zach and Toby. Zach at this end, who's completely forgotten what I'm doing. Toby at the other, brought to you by Best on Ground Digital. Best on Ground Digital, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guy. They will not steer you wrong. bestongrounddigital.com. Toby, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. How you going, champion?
Mate, it doesn't feel like these seasons around the corner, if I'm being honest. It just doesn't feel like it. Don't know what it is. Have we not got enough hype getting built? Did the shit that happened before Christmas just sort of put a damper on everything? I don't know. But it does not feel like the trials are like 3 weeks away.
How far away are the trials?
Ours is on the 14th of Feb.
So that gives us, 3.5 weeks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, there you go. No, I know. I said the same thing to you earlier. I often am chomping at the bit for footy season, and it's not that I'm not this year. It just doesn't feel like it yet.
No, it doesn't feel like it does every year.
No. So I don't know if the stuff that happened the back end of last year took a little bit of the shine off the apple, as it were, or not. But either way, that's in the past, and we won't be talking about that on tonight's show because we don't need to bother with issues that we are not related to football for a little while. I think we're all tired of hearing about it. And
yeah,
there's been a lot of water under the bridge in terms of time since then. So we're just going to focus on the year ahead and the season ahead, which I'm sure a lot of people are actually probably pleased to hear. Mate, your Christmas, pretty good, pretty solid.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Went back with the fam back home, which is Coff Harbour for anyone. Spent some time around there, swam a lot, ate a lot, had a good time. But yeah, very much overdue. Had a very busy year last year, so I have another busy year this year. But no, it was a good break. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. Much of the same. We're down in Coffs for 2 weeks, there or thereabouts. There's a lot of good. Having young kids, mate. They were sick. One of them was sick on and off all over Christmas, which wasn't much fun, but you make the most of it.
You do.
Watch a bit of Big Bash and try to get a few waves in, which was good. There was a little bit of surf around, nothing crazy, but we made the most of it, had a bit of grovel. And
oh, surely you watched the Ashes too, mate.
Back up into the swing of things now. Yeah, 100%. Lots of Test cricket. I was crooked myself for the first couple of tests, and so I was lucky enough to be able to just lay in bed in the air conditioning and watch it, which was silver linings and all that. You got to be pleased with what is on offer. But I digress. We, mate, are heading into a season 2026, and there's going to be plenty to talk about. We're just going to basically knock the cobwebs off today. Talk about a few little bits and pieces around what we've seen so far from the releases that the Tigers have put out, and just a couple of early little conversational topics about what we think, or where we think, I should say, things are going to go this year. So without much further ado, might make a bit of a start, mate. The boys are back in training following the Christmas break. A few pictures released this week about an army camp. They looks like they're doing something similar to what they did last year, if not the same thing.
Yeah, hopefully they release a YouTube series on it again. That definitely psyched me up for the season ahead. So hopefully they do that again. Because it'd be also good to see how much leadership some of the younger guys that started really shining last year are going to start lifting as well. It's like there was, I'm sure every fan watched that series last year, but if you remember, there was a bit with Tito and Benji pulling him aside saying you're more of a leader than you think you are.
Yeah.
And so it'd be really cool to see if he's developed into that leader that Benji thinks he is.
Yep.
How much KPP will bring to in terms of from just coming off the Ashes series as well. Obviously, and again, anyone that watched it knew he was by far one of their best. So, that'll obviously give him a host of confidence. But yeah, so hopefully they do it again. But I mean, the media team has been on point for the last 18 months, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
Yeah, they've been really good, haven't they?
Yeah.
Quite handy. Mate, there's still some unresolved issues around Dream Buller.
Yep.
I heard a few rumblings that they have until May to take up or not take up the offer for 27. I don't understand how that would work, given that.
Yeah, I thought it was November.
Yeah, figured that. There's a. Given that if it's not taken up, he's a free agent for next year, effectively. So yeah, I don't know how that really works. Even as I say that, it doesn't really make much sense to me. But Bulldog sniffing around apparently. Isaac Moses just doing what he does, I guess. Where do you sit with the likelihood of a retention there with Jareem, and is it something that's going to be imminent, or is it going to drag out for a bit, do you think?
I reckon it'll be something imminent. I think it's probably in everyone's best interest to get it done, regardless if it's, hopefully this new bloke, what's his name, Sean something?
Sean Millercamp.
Millercamp, that's it. Hopefully he's got the cojones that Richo did, and just, I need an answer now. That's it. We don't want this disrupting our year. So give us an answer, or, laters, because we're done waiting. Because I'm sick of everything that Isaac Moses does in controlling narratives and always having the upper hand and everything like that. Look, do not get me wrong. I think this team is far better with Buller in it than it is without it. But we've seen how this causes such a headache, and causes, like, we were on a bit of an upward trajectory before the whole Gowan thing last year, and then we lost 6 in a row. So it's, anyone can sit there and say, oh, it didn't really affect us, we just had to perform. Of course it affected you. Of course it did. You're human. And so this needs to be resolved. And if this Mellencamp's if he's worth his grain in salt, then he will just basically make it happen one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the stage where both parties seem to be, happy to stay together. Everything indicates that's the case, and so it just would be coming down to the dollar value. And if they see long-term upside with Dream staying at the Tigers, whether for premierships, for money, or for development, or a combination of all three. I mean, I think the Tigers are now at a point where we're not where we were in a lot of areas, but particularly with recruitment and retention. We can show now that the trajectory that the side and the squad are on, and where we're headed. And a lot of people that I've heard so far this year, ex-players, talking heads, that sort of thing, have us continuing to climb in a big way, almost to a man. So, the sell there for Jareem, to me, then just seems to be a dollar value. So whether Moses are holding out for a particular reason, I'm not really sure. It's also been the case where I'm not sure how much the head office has been back, feet under the desk, running again. I know it is getting it towards Australia Day there now, so probably a couple of weeks under the belt, but these things do take a bit of time. So, look, for me, Jareem is a must re-sign for a number of reasons. It's not as if you can't make up for it, but you couldn't account for it or mitigate it if he was to move on. I just think he's such a fundamental piece of the team. We've only seen a small amount of what his raw talent can do so far, and more development, more playing in the system that we're looking at building, more combinations built over time spent with the current spine as it's looking. He's just going to go from strength to strength, and he's just such a key attacking asset in our side. And he lost a bit of his defensive game over the last season or so, but that can happen, and he looks like a player that continues to improve all the time. He's improved a number of areas, particularly his competitiveness on the ball. So,
That was definitely something that I was critical of last year, and also critical of him in the Pacific Bowl.
Yep.
I thought that that game where I can't remember who it was against, but he let 3 tries in by just being lazy, and that was annoying. So there's a couple of things like I agree with you. We're better with him without than without it, and I think I honestly believe the sky's the limit for him. But there's a lot of deficiencies that he needs to work on.
Yeah. No, I can't agree with you in terms of a lot of deficiencies. I was
Maybe that's an exaggeration, but there's a few.
yeah. I think he's quickly becoming, or will push into at least this year top 5 fullbacks in the comp. So I think we have to
That's a
look
big
at him
call.
pretty seriously. Yeah, pushing into that space this year, definitely. Anyway, everyone is replaceable, and we've got young Jack Attard there who's been pulled in for 3 years, starting 27, I think, officially. Might be Dev this year, to double check. And he appears to be a pretty good deputy, albeit, again, another young player who is not yet developed and ready to go. So, at a certain point, you've got to get off that perpetual development treadmill and start building a squad. And it appears as though 2026, in a lot of ways, just to parlay into that,
Yeah.
is the year where we're probably the most well-equipped to actually start to have a crack. This is probably the first year we can go into the season, I think, with this longer-term build and the speed bumps along the way, expecting to genuinely compete for the 8. And I believe we have the squad to compete for the 8, no doubt. So if I segue into that then and say, rightio, our squad as it currently sits, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And where do you think the window is for what this squad can achieve over the course of the year? Why don't you start with what you like about our squad?
The entire squad, I like the depth.
Yep.
I think that this is one of the first years in a long time where, apart from probably a few key players, no one's position is safe because of our depth. There's going to be people pushing for spots left, right, and centre. So, obviously we've got the mainstays in Romy and Appy, and probably and Tezza as well. But
Who?
Terrell. And Sam, well, even Sam. Sam has been by far one of our best the last 2 years. But there's people that are pushing for that spot as well. And, a couple of not fantastic games or runs of injury, and everyone is potentially losing their starting spot for a while. And so that's what I kind of like is the internal battle or the internal competition that we're going to have, which means everyone has to bring their A game consistently.
Yeah. It's a good point. If we go through some of the positions for the side, for example, fullback, we've got Jareen there. Wingers, we've got some options there, at least for this year. Luke Leela is signed with the Perth Bears, so good luck to him for 27, but he's there this year. If we look at wingers, we've got the likes of Luke. Obviously, you've got Tito and Skelton there. You've got Macassini, who will be pushing pretty hard. A lot of us are sort of split on Skelton versus Macassini to start the season on a wing. You've got Taylor who can play wing. You've got Toa who can play wing, and that's not even including down in some of the New South Wales Cup options as well.
Mm.
You've got Tino Tavana, I think, coming through into Cup. There's a few others in there as well. Is Riley Whitman coming through, perhaps? I keep going on down the list. So we're pretty well stacked for backs in that regard. Centres, you've got a bit of competition there going on as well. We've got Dewey and Latu. Most people are putting Dewey there in halfback, but depending on how Latu returns, we're looking at him as an option as well. We've got Jock Madden in the halves there now as well, to your point, along with Luai. You then look at the second row and what they've done there. We had bugger all last year, and now they're looking at the likes of Kai Pearce-Paul and Samuela to start. You've then got Sione and Alex Seyfarth who can play second row at a pinch. You've got Ethan Roberts in the squad. They've got Maverick Geyer in the squad who can play on an edge or in a middle. He's been doing some training at lock, I hear. Cracking point you made. For me, what I like about it is two things. But I like the fact that we're actually starting to get a bit of strike. And so for a long time, we've struggled with trying to play football somewhat robotically and just not having, since Tedesco, really the game-breaking power to be able to blow a game wide open and rely on it. And I think now, with some of these players that we've got and are established and are going to have more reps in the tank, we've got genuine strike on the edges, on both edges, both second row edges, both centres when they're on. You got strike out on the wing with some game breakers out there. You got Buller and you got strike in the halves. So I like the points upside this year, and I think time spent together will make a big difference around our attacking outcomes. So that's a big thing that I like.
Yeah, that's fair too.
I was going to make a second one, but in the process of saying that, I've forgotten. So I'll just move on. What don't you like about our squad?
Probably how there's a few that are deemed incumbents who I think shouldn't be, and by that I mean yes, he was carrying injuries, but I just thought Todd just died off at the back end of last year. I was not impressed with him a lot, but everyone's like he's bound to start. He's a sure thing. I'm like, is he? But because right now I'd be more than happy to test May and Macassini in the centres. I think that kind of a lot of people are on Big Red's side, and he's been a serviceable player for us for a while now, but he hasn't been he's definitely improved in the last 2 years than what he was prior. But he's a fringe player at best, and everyone's like, oh, he's obviously going to start on the bench, or if not in the second, or if not at lock or something like that. It's just having this idea that everyone has an incumbent is when they haven't really earned it is kind of annoying, I guess, if that makes sense.
So just some of the mediocrity incumbents, I guess, that we've had in place out of necessity. You just welcoming change away from that mediocrity.
Yeah, and the whole point of be loyal to those that have stayed. I mean, no, yes, we re-signed them, but they've got to perform and they've got to win games for us. So
okay, so you're referring to the Seafarts of the world, Toa. Is anybody else in that same category? I'd say
no one that got an actual.
No one's going to knock the door down at the moment, but Fanua Bole needs to lift.
Yeah.
I don't think he had his best season. I thought he was really good at the start of the year.
Absolutely.
Bunty Afoa won't play a heap of games, but he's a season campaigner there behind him. Sione finished the year quite well, even though he was in second row. We know how strong he's been of late, and Royce Hunt looks like he seems to be back to form. So
doesn't he look lean?
Yeah. So there, and you know what Terrell's going to do. And then who's the obvious one I'm forgetting? And Twally had a monster year last year, so he's career best year for Twally. So I reckon, Bole's probably in that group.
Sort of, yeah.
Not that you're leaving incumbents behind. He's a young man. He's a future of the club. He's a gun, but I think he needs to lift.
Yeah, I think he's at that point in his career where, to be honest, it's sink or swim. Because we know, he has shown glimpses of being an absolute beast. Like you said, the start of last year, he was he was just phenomenal. You and I had him and May in the top 3 packs, forward packs of the NRL in the first 5 rounds.
And it was well earned. They were both
it wasn't
at one point.
Yeah, it wasn't bias. It was pure stats. Both of them were just running for meters on meters on meters, tackling the hearts out.
Incredible.
But then, he got injured, came back, and it just wasn't the same. So, no, he definitely falls in that bucket as well.
But I fully expect him to, which is exciting as well, because, you had to rejuvenated him and Royce Hunt back into that rotation, because Hunt had a terrible season by anyone's measure, with due respect. So if he's remotivated and you get him back in there.
I wouldn't say a terrible season. I thought he sort of went with the flow of what the forward pack was doing then as well. I think that, apart from Terrell, middle of that year, the pack was a little bit off to sort of set the platform, and he was just part of that. I thought he was great at the start of the year. I thought he had awesome impact off the bench, and I thought he was good at the back end of the year. So,
yeah, fair point. He did. I guess there was that big chunk of time in the middle where he was definitely off, and he was put back to reserves, and he did sort of come back and make a bit of a punch at the back end. So you are right there. He showed moments of it.
scored a hat, scored a double.
Yeah, he showed moments, and that was the most frustrating thing. Is he looked motivated at the start of the year, and then where did it go? And it came back. So hopefully his motivation isn't too fickle, but there's the makings of a decent forward back there. For me, I think as much as we've got depth there, I think we're actually lacking that real sort of steel. Enforcer's not necessarily the word, but I don't think we have a fearful, intimidating forward pack. And I know that Samwella and the types of like him can sort of grow into that, and we've shown bits and pieces of it. I think Fanua's loves the contest, but he's a bit too nice. Terrell's just a machine and a Terminator and a workhorse, but he's not an intimidating type. And so most of our tempo leaders when it comes to defence as a result are they're smaller guys. It was the likes of Appy would often rush up to try to change tempo and that sort of thing, or to physically impart himself. Twally did it bits and pieces, but again,
Skelton did it on the wing.
The nicest bloke in the world. Skelton did it on the wing a bit, yeah. So I don't know who that is. I think it's more. I think our forward pack is relatively full and chunky and pretty solid. I don't think you can add a heap to that without blowing the salary cap. So I think it needs to come from someone. Kai Pearce-Paul, I don't know how much of an enforcer he is. He's a good footballer, no doubt, and we'll talk a bit about him coming up. But yeah, so for me, that's all we're maybe missing, a bit of mongrel. But I guess you get the likes of Taylor and May and stuff back in out wide, and no one's going to mess with that edge. And you mentioned Skelton there too, so yeah, you don't necessarily need aggro, but I think you need to be playing an aggressive type of football to be successful, or at least have the capacity to. Because there are times in games where momentum isn't turning your way, the game isn't going your way, the bounce of the ball's going the wrong way, the ref's only got one eye, and you need something. And the better teams have that in them. So, anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. The where will we finish window? So, at our worst, where do you see us winding up? And then at our best, if everything clicks, I'm not talking like fairy tale necessarily, realistic best, injury-free, we get a few results, drop our way. What's our window, do you think? What's our range?
So I think we're going to be quite solid across the year. So I don't think we're anywhere near the wooden spoon. I think our worst will be about 12th, 13th. That's barring bad luck, shit form, everything. I think our best is on the cusp of the top four. I don't think we're in the top four. So I think we're about fifth, sixth is our best. And you know what? I'll take it. So
yeah. Yeah, I got us basically exactly the same. Although I can see it going. This sounds pessimistic. My bottom end is as low as 15th or 16th, because I think all of the sides around us only have to win a couple of games, and us to have a bad season, God forbid. Hopefully we don't. We're due some luck, but yeah. So
yeah, we're definitely
due. Given the nature of how close the comp was this year. When you fall, you can fall pretty quick. Like we were in the hunt for the finals right up until a round or two to go, and then you lose a couple of ones that we shouldn't have because we switched off, and we tumbled down to 13th. We were sitting around 10, 11, 12 for most of the year, and just those couple of spots makes it look a lot worse than what it was. So doesn't take much, but I agree with you. I think we should be shooting for 5 or 6. I think hopefully if we can compete with those top 4 teams mostly on most days, I think that's a big win. Maybe we jag one or two of whoever the top four end up being over the course of the year. I think those are good goals to sort of aim for. I think they're capable of it because you look across that squad, we're struggling to find a bit of weakness now. We've got a fair few chess pieces that are sort of relatively locked in.
Sorry, I missed that last part. What'd you say?
I just said we've got a fair few chess pieces that are relatively locked in that regard.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's fair to say, bar, Buller pulling the pin and just saying, no, I'm leaving now, and us agreeing and just saying, look, don't disrupt us. It's fair to say that the spine is there. And whether that's, I'd say probably majority of the year, the 7 will be Dewey unless his form completely just fucking dies or, touch wood, nothing happens to him injury-wise. And Latu will be the 14. But I said it, I think, just before Chrissy. I can't remember if it was on this or another pod, but I'd actually have Jock Madden as my 14. I think he offers a little bit more. You can't keep Latu out of the side. So what does that mean? For me, that means that either Dewey or Latu shift into lock position. So, because that's one thing also, I guess when you say things that I don't like about our squad is it's probably fair to say we don't have a solid lock at all. Reports that, Ethan Roberts has been training there, Maverick Guy has been training there, Twally did it last year, Pole did it last year and the year before. But no one's ever solidified that role since, I can't remember the last time we had maybe Hyington was probably the last time we had a consistent 13 there. Maybe Elijah Taylor.
Yeah, Elijah Taylor was good for a period.
So
in that more new style too.
Yeah, he was a good linchpin for a while.
Yeah. Any other questions still to answer there? But we're still waiting to see. So lock is the obvious one. The contention around that halves. I think most of us are pretty in agreement that Dewey seems to be the best startup option there. Latu's got time on his side. What else needs to be answered?
I think Appy needs a break. I don't think Appy should be playing 80 minutes anymore. And I'm really hoping that Benji sees that. I think he needs to come off with 10 minutes to go and come back on with 20 minutes to go. Have a good half an hour break. Have a breather. Yes, you take the team on your back. That's what we want you to do. But also, you're 33 years old and you're playing the best rugby league competition in the world. So, we need him at his best consistently. And, when he has to take the team on his back consistently week after week after week after week, it does get draining. And I felt like there was a couple of games last year where he was nowhere near his best, nowhere near it. I don't think that had much to do with him personally. I think it had to do with just everything that was on him. So he needs a break.
What do you put that down to?
I just think that, he's such a competitor. And it was during, our run, we were around that 10th, 11th, with still a sniff to the finals. But some people just weren't lifting. Unfortunately, Romy didn't have some really good games there either. And so, because he's such a competitor, he tries to do too much. And that can actually be detrimental. We've seen it from the past. When it's not like when he first came to the club, and I'll obviously hang this hat on you because you're the one that said it. It wasn't that he couldn't work with what we had. It was that everyone else was 2 steps behind him consistently. No one was up with him. So it wasn't like that because we were there and, the support was there. It was just like he knew what this meant to this fan base. There's no two ways about it. He knew it. And so he tried to do it all himself, and sometimes he just completely overplayed his hand.
Good luck to have, though. Happy he's in the side.
Absolutely. That's what I mean. We need him at his best, but for us to get to that, 5th, 6th, potentially top 4, he needs to be at his best week in and week out. I hope he never gets picked for Origin again.
Yeah, we
So,
need him to consistently be playing less minutes. In my opinion.
yes. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so that's a good little segue into. We're not going to have too much more. It's going to be a pretty sort of short show this week, but I wanted to just talk about one of the key rule changes heading into this year, which is related to the 14. Because now, I'm not sure whether people are aware or not, in 2026, you can carry 6 people on the bench. So you can carry a 19-man game squad up from the regular 17. So ordinarily, you could have your 13 starters and your 4 reserves, and then you use each of your reserves as you please up for your interchange. Total of 10 interchanges? 11?
Yeah, 10.
10. 9? They
8?
change it all the time. So this year you have 6 men on the bench, but you can only use 4. So the moment you've used your 4th, the other 2 then become the bonus like they used to in the case of a foul play or something, and they get activated. And so what that gives you the advantage of doing is when the game is going a certain way, you can carry 2 extra people for some versatility. And if, let's say that you are way ahead, let's say you got the odd player carrying an injury heading in, then you're obviously going to be able to carry cover for those types of people. You might want to carry a bit of a live wire utility style if you need to chase points or something. And so you can do options around that. So I think the discussion of the 14 becomes a bit easier now. So I dare say we will see Latu and Jock on the 6-man bench every single week. And I think you might even see some weeks Heath Mason get a run there too, as an option as well, because all 3 can cover effectively in many ways, halves and hooker. Jock can definitely play a bit of hooker. And Latu obviously has the advantage of playing some lock and middle too. Jock could probably at a pinch. But then, like I said, you can carry those other players on your bench as well with the 6-man. So I'm pretty interested to see how it goes. It will stop games, or not stop, it will minimise games being ruined by a really inopportune injury. Like you probably carry a specialist half or a solid, decent half on your bench every week just in case a half goes down.
Yeah.
We've seen how when that can happen, it can completely ruin your chance to win the football game. And if you're up against a team where you had a pretty fair bank on the 2 points, it's pretty frustrating. So that'll obviously change.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that actually. I haven't really thought much about the rule changes other than the what's the one they're all kicking up a stink about? Or the defending team, or the defending team can choose to receive or kick the ball if they get a try scored against them. And I'm not for that at all. I think that's a bit shit. You've worked hard to build pressure, and if you don't want that to happen to you, defend better.
It is going to take a bit of momentum out of the game, which I like because I hate these runaway freight train momentum swings. I think it was too much, and I'm not a fan of rule changes. I think it's a joke how often they change the rules in this sport, like an actual joke. Just leave it alone. But I don't. I mean, that's weird, but I don't think we needed it.
I felt like it was shit we did when we were in under 9s.
I do like the 6. I do really like the 6-man bench option though.
Yeah,
I think it's
I
going to
haven't
be
really
good.
thought about it, but you're right, 100%.
And I think versatile squads are going to be of benefit to that. So squads that have got pretty decent players up until that 19th player and have a bit of versatility and a bit of danger there. Someone you can't carry, like Suafar-Longo for Melbourne, for example. If Melbourne were ever behind, they could just run your 3 regular reserves. So you probably go into the game planning to run 3 regulars, and then you sit on your 4th, and then you wait and see how the game plays out. If you need a hooker, you throw someone that can play hooker in there, add the 3 remaining or something like that. So, yeah, I think it's cool. It's going to be a cool strategy thing. It's sort of a bit of it seems NFL-y to me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Which there's a lot about NFL I love, there's a lot I don't like, but the tactics side of things I think is interesting, and it'll look forward to see how it plays out.
Well,
anyway.
I think what it's also going to do is, and this is just purely for us, is going to benefit those that can play long minutes. So the fact that we got Terrell in there, and we know he can play 80, that gives us so much. Like, it gave us such an option last year.
Yep.
But now with this 6-man bench, it gives us so much more.
Yeah, it does. And obviously your interchanges are the same as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't think they've changed.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. If you've got players that can play long minutes, you get edge rack rowers that regularly punch out 80 quality minutes. It does allow you to carry more options. You might not always need those options, but it allows you to carry a few weapons on the bench for particular scenarios, I guess.
Mm.
All right, mate. I think as far as that goes, that was the thing I just wanted to discuss there then. I want us to run through really quick before we wrap up, and we did say it's going to be a shorter show, which is what
we're just dusting off the cobwebs, Like I said, both of us don't feel like it's footy's around the corner. The hype hasn't built yet.
Oh, so but it will. But it will, Sonny.
Oh, but it will. Oh, but it will.
By the time we're sitting there on the Leichhardt Hill in March for round 2 for our opening game.
For those that are not aware, we will be there. We will be there ready and waiting to celebrate a victory and fucking kick the Cowboys to the curb.
Yeah, going to make up for what happened last year. So we're coming back down. Anyway, very briefly, our 1 to 19. What's your 1 to 19? Have you got the squad in front of you? Let's just go through it together. We'll co-build it together. We'll rip through it super quick. We'll expand on this in the next couple of weeks. But let's go. Fullback, Drembula.
Yeah.
Wingers, Sani Taruva, and I've got Skelton to start.
Yeah, I've got Skelton to start.
Centres, I've got Taylor May, and I've got Toa to start.
I would like Makasini, but I think they'll pick Toa.
Yeah. Your 5'8" is obviously Jerome.
Yeah. I didn't know if you needed me to acknowledge that, because that would seem
more
like a rhetorical question.
AD starts at 7.
Yeah, because Latu's still injured too, isn't he?
I think he's still non-contact, but I think he'll actually be right.
Oh, okay.
I dare say they may well play him in reserves or something for a week or something to get a bit of contact, real game contact back. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I think time frame wise, it was close, but he should be okay if he's tracking well. We'll see. So yeah, Dewey at 7, Terrell 8, Appy 9. Who's your other starting prop?
Twally.
Okay. Starting lock? I'm going to jump to lock then.
You're not going to like it. I still think Bird.
Ew,
I think he's got a lot to prove, and I think from what I've seen, like Bird's been pictured in a lot of the gallery images lately, and word is he's been training at lock. So,
okay. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much of Jack Bird at all. I heavily disagree. I think
you're allowed to be wrong.
I think Twal at lock worked well. The way we played it, where he pushes into the middle off the back of that, and then we play someone smaller for a smaller lock later in the game.
So who's your other fronty then? Polo?
It's probably going to be Fanua. He's probably going to start the year there again.
So you don't think Sione?
I love Sione. I just think Sione can be helpful on the bench because of his versatility. And I think, again, it's Fanua's time to step up and like he started last year, become the starting prop. It's time. He's done his apprenticeship. He's ready to go. He's of age. So, yeah, Fanua's the other starting prop. So pretty unpredictable, unpredictable, pretty predictable. That's what I'm trying to say.
No idea.
So then Sam Weller and Kaipis Paul are our second rowers.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen.
So the only thing that we're in disagreement on is one of the props and our lock, basically.
Yep.
So then who's your 6-man bench then? If Latu's fit, you've got Latu and Jock?
Yeah, I've got Latu and Jock. I completely forgot about the 6-man. So, yeah, Latu and Jock are my 3.
Yeah.
2. I'm just looking here, but they haven't updated the team, the profile pages with Jock in them. He's top 30, isn't
he? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, sweet. I think Sione will get one spot. I think Royce will get another. And this is kind of where I was like, shit, I don't know, hey. For all intensive purposes, there's a lot of raps on Ethan Roberts. So potentially Ethan Roberts gets a spot there as well.
Still young. He's developing this year.
But if we're talking about that 1-2, this is the thing. You've completely spun it with me because I completely forgot the 6-man bench.
Yeah.
So I'm looking through the list now, and I'm like,
I'll give you
who
some
would I
time.
like on there?
I'll give you some time to think. I'm going to play an outside back as well. So I'm going to play, I think, Latu, Jock, and Macassini.
Yep.
Are my 3. So I've got my genuine utility, my halves cover, halves hooker cover, and my outside back. And then I'll run with 3 forwards, which is probably going to be Sione for versatility. And then Royce, and then it might even be Seafath still.
Okay.
Because it's a 19 man. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll completely forgot an outside back. So because I'm using, well, I said Macassini, but obviously I picked Toa, so I'd put Macassini on there as well. So I'd join you on that.
I think Big Mac is a early season. If he doesn't get a start, is a terrific choice. To run on that 6-man bench because again he can cover a number of positions. He's right there. He's there in the action. So you know, other people come in some ways like the other choices for prop. If we've got, I guess you got 12 there in the rotation, which helps. So you don't need to carry that 2 props on the bench. If you've got Royce there and then you've got 12 at 13, and then you plan to play a Latu or a Jock or someone else in the middle later, then effectively you've got Fanua, Twal, Terrell, and Royce to play out the game at prop. So I think you can get away with that by starting with Twal at lock. But anyway, all speculation. Fun to talk about. I'm starting to get... Hang on.
Oh, is it coming? It's coming.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, shit.
Left leg shaking. Hang on. Can you smell Stephen? Can you smell Danker rub?
I didn't know what you were going with that.
The sound of strapping tape being ripped off people's legs. I can hear it in the distance.
Smell of cooked onion and durries.
That smell of those toxic rubber mouth guards that we put in boiling water and then shove into our mouth.
To shape our teeth.
Yeah.
I still did that playing 30.
Yeah, there's nothing toxic about that shit. Holy hell. Mate.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's all we need just to stoke the fire again.
Yeah, I'm definitely not putting the boots back on, but yeah, sure.
Ladies and gents, thank you for listening. Anything else you want to add, mate, before we wrap up this numero uno show for 2026?
No, it is fair to say that the trials are right around the corner, and I'm sure our chat will start going off soon. The only thing I can hope, fingers crossed, and I think they'll join up. I think they reconvene in a week or 2, but the board, I think, as long as they just stay quiet, shut the fuck up, we're good.
I've got a goal for 2026. No board talk. None. Zero. Nada. Nothing.
And on this pod.
Fucking anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Oh, but, the media loves it. It gets them all the clicks because we love our Tigers.
I do. Ladies and gents, thanks for tuning in. Thanks again to our sponsor, Best on Ground Digital, bestongrounddigital.com, the digital marketing agency that looks after the little guy, bestongrounddigital.com. Now, we always say follow all media. All West Tigers media is good media in our eyes. Get on over and follow all the podcasts. What do we got? West Tigers Life, Claws Out, Faithful, Us. Follow them all. Support them all. Get on, like, ambush on Facebook, westtigersforum.com. And, mate, that's about it for us for 2026's first show. I didn't finish that sentence. Tragically, I'm back to work tomorrow. For everybody else listening, you're listening to the show on Wednesday.
Been back at work for 3 weeks. Yeah.
Everybody else every normal person has been back at work, but I haven't. So I'm struggling right now. It's depressing. It's nearly Australia Day and I have to go back to work, mate. Ridiculous. But
whatever.
I'll endure. Now, we may see you next week. We may not see you next week. We obviously start on a bit of a staggered schedule, but you'll hear from us pretty soon. We're approaching the trials. Let us know what you think of our teams. What do you think of the 6-man bench? How are you going to run the 6-man bench? Do you reckon there's some merit in carrying a couple of specialists like we were talking about?
Do you reckon I've lost the plot by mentioning Jack Bird?
Yes, is the answer to that question. Nothing more to say than go the mighty West Tigers.
Up the Tigers. West Tigers.